Good evening, everybody. Hearty welcome to Extra Mile. Miss Kathy. Good evening, ma'am. Alex. Welcome to Extra Mile.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, best wishes. And Salkini, ma'am. Are you all set?
Absolutely. Good evening.
Yeah, best wishes. And well, do we have Biju S. Pillai? Sir, please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. And Kathy, ma'am, your video, can you check whether it is very clear or not?
Is my video not visible?
Visible, a kind of blurring is there, but fine. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Salkini, what do you say?
Sorry, I missed that.
No, about Kathy ma'am's video. Fine, no.
Sohini Roy Biswas, who holds a first-class master's degree in English literature from the esteemed University of Calcutta and B.Ed degree from Jiwaji University. She is a distinguished figure in the realm of English education with over 14 years of enriching experience. Sohini's journey in education has been marked by excellence and dedication. She served as the postgraduate teacher and head of department for English at Amrita Vidyalayam, New Delhi, where her leadership and expertise shone brightly. Sohini's commitment to academic excellence has been recognized on numerous occasions, including a prestigious certificate of appreciation from the former Education Minister, Ms. Smriti Irani. Furthermore, Sohini's expertise has been sought after by the Central Board of Secondary Education, CBSE, where she has served as an evaluator for Grade 12 English examinations for an impressive 8 years. Currently, she is shaping young minds as a PGT English at 21K School, bringing her wealth of experience and passion to inspire the next generation of learners. Hearty welcome Ms. Sohini Roy to Extra Mile Education and Training.
Ms. Salkini. Vijisa, Salkini ma'am, let's take very little time for introduction. Please proceed.
Yes, thank you so much, sir,
Thank
for that wonderful introduction. I'll take it ahead from here. Good evening, everyone. I'm really delighted to extend a warm welcome to each one of you from Extra Mile. Extra Mile, an exclusive platform founded by Dr. Abdul Salam, the visionary behind BTAG, is dedicated to offering comprehensive online and offline training. With a diverse pool of experts, Extra Mile excels in providing customized on-site training across India. Before we delve into today's session, I want to express my sincere thanks to Dr. Salam and Extra Mile Education and Training team for entrusting me with this opportunity. A heartfelt welcome to all our participants. It's a pleasure to have you join us. Today, as part of our ongoing commitment to fostering educational empowerment, the Extra Mile community, alongside our esteemed guest, Ms. Kathy Dwarkadas, will share valuable insights. Our community always endeavors to exceed expectations, especially in empowering educators, with the invaluable contributions of talented individuals like Ms. Dwarkadas, whom I will introduce shortly. In today's session, we shall delve into the critical aspects of modern education, focusing on how competency-based learning outcomes align with National Curriculum Framework, popularly known as NCF. We will explore various pedagogical approaches that facilitate effective learning experiences, and we will discuss methods for evaluating learning outcomes to ensure meaningful progress and achievement. We welcome all of you to join us as we navigate through key concepts and practical insights to enhance educational practices and, most importantly, student success. But before we begin today's session, participants are requested to note the following instructions for the smooth conduct of the session. Keeping the camera on is optional. However, we do request your interactive participation. So if you have any queries, do raise that virtual hand of yours, or you may also use the chat box for asking your questions. The participants will have the opportunity to receive certificates only after filling up the certificate and feedback form, which will be given towards the end of the session. Also, you are requested to save the link for all the future sessions because it's a permanent link. Kindly stay connected till the end of the session for the same. Now, let's start from the foundation. Let us now welcome Dr. Abdul Salam, who's the founder of BTAG, who's the founder of this platform called Extra Mile Education and Training. Dr. Salam, a renowned personality who has worked as the assessor of National Accreditation Board of Education and Training, functioning under Government of India. He's a multifaceted person who is the founder and CEO of Bharat Transformer Academic Growth, also known as BTAG, and Extra Mile Education and Training. Dr. Salam, being the master trainer and a resource person, has always shown his eminence. I would request you to kindly wait for a moment if you have any questions to ask. I can already see a lot of appreciation and clappings going on, and Dr. Salam absolutely deserves that. Okay, so now I would request Dr. Salam to deliver the welcome speech. We're absolutely honored to have your gracious presence with us, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Sokini. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, prospective resource person, Ms. Kyadi, and my brother, Vijay Pillai, and all educators who have joined from across India and abroad. Thank you for joining. I'm not taking your precious time. You have come to listen to the resource person. So actually, this is a very big topic, vast topic, and Kyadi ma'am herself is the resource person for this particular topic, and it takes one full day, all day to give you the essence of this topic. Then I requested Kyadi ma'am, we can give the very quintessence today, and we can focus on subject wise in the coming session. So let's stay back and enjoy, sit back and enjoy, and all the very best to everybody. Keep learning, learn more. Thank you. Over to Sokini.
Thank you, Salam sir, for your words of wisdom. Ladies and gentlemen, amidst us, we also have Mr. Biju S. Pillai, the principal of Sri Gokulam Public School, Trivandrum. He is the co-founder of BTAG and an eminent personality who has been working round the clock in the field of education, including being the principal of many reputed CBSE schools. Sir, I invite you to kindly address the gathering.
Thank you, Shogini ma'am. Respected Director Abdul Salam sir, today's resource person, Ms. Khyati Dwarakadas, moderator Shogini Roy, and all other respected educators of Extra Mile platform. We have come across with a very good topic, learning outcomes. Actually, learning outcomes are the measurable skills, the abilities, knowledge, or values that the students should be able to attain as a result after the completing a particular course. So how this can be cultivated, it is in the hands of the teachers, respected teachers who are spending their valuable 35 to 40 minutes. So as a dedicated teacher, how it can be implemented in a much presentable way so that the leadership qualities can be attained all on a sudden, and children can move in different dimensions to improve their knowledge and their skills. So all these we can come to know about from the most respected resource person, Khyati ma'am. So without much wasting the time, we would like to listen to the great class of our respected resource person. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. Biju, for addressing the August gathering. And I now have the privilege of introducing the resource person for the day, Ms. Khyati Dwarkadas, who is a veteran educator of 25 years of experience. She holds 25 years of experience. She is currently serving as head of department at Gopi Birla Memorial School, recognized as an innovation ambassador by the Ministry of Education. Her forward-thinking pedagogy has garnered accolades, including the Rotary International Presidential Citation for Community Service. Recognized for her outstanding contributions, Ms. Dwarkadas has been the recipient of numerous awards and honors, including the Lifetime Achievement Award and Innovative Head of Department Award from Education World, the Sushma Swaraj Women Icon Award for Women Empowerment, and the Acharya Chanakya Shikshavid Samman. Wow. Global Teacher Award and International Teachers Guild Award have cemented her status as a global educator par excellence. Ms. Khyati is not just an educator, but a visionary leader, catalyst for change, and a beacon of excellence in education. Ms. Khyati, we are extremely honored to have you with us. The floor is all yours, ma'am.
Thank you. Firstly, good evening, Dr. Salam, Biju sir, as well as Sohini ma'am and all the participants. I am indeed very much humbled and honored by that heartwarming welcome from Sohini ma'am. And of course, it goes without saying, Dr. Salam has always been very, very kind and considerate when he invites me over to the training platform. So thank you very much, Dr. Salam. At the same time, I would love to start today's session with simple questions coming your way, but I did see in the chat that people are not able to join, and that is our regular issue. I think the 300 target is met, hence people are not able to join, and I'm sure Dr. Salam has an alternate solution to that. He always comes up with one. So coming back to and wasting no time, let me go ahead and start with today's session. Like Dr. Salam rightly mentioned, it's a full one-day capacity building program, and we are setting out to take a bird's eye view of it in just about an hour. So considering that the National Curricular Framework has set about with certain definitions, let me show you what curricular goals are according to the NCF. Now, curricular goals according to NCF are statements that are given, or those statements that give directions to curriculum development and implementation. And these are derived from aims of to a specific stage. For example, aims to the foundational stage, aims to the middle stage, aims to the preparatory stage, aims to the secondary stage. That's how these curricular goals are derived. And the NCF guides the development of all curricula across the nation and states curricular goals. So, for example, in this NCF, children develop effective communication skills for day-to-day interactions in a minimum of 2 languages is a curricular goal for the foundational stage. And there are many such curricular goals. So when we move to curricular goals in a later session, we will cover this in depth. The NCF also defines competencies, which they say are learning achievements that are observable, can be assessed systematically. These competencies are derived from the curricular goals and are expected to be attained by the end of a stage. Now, I will be covering a bit of the competencies in today's session. So competencies are articulated in curriculum framework. However, curriculum developers normally adapt and modify competencies to address a specific context for which the curriculum is being developed. So you can see some of the examples here. The student converses fluently and can hold a meaningful conversation, understands oral instructions for a complex task, and gives clear and oral instructions for the same to others. The NCF also categorically talks about learning outcomes. And very, very categorically in the NCF, you will come to see that competencies are attained over a period of time, and it needs interim markers of achievement. These are your learning outcomes, and teachers can observe and track learning and respond to the needs of the learners continually using the interim markers called learning outcomes. So learning outcomes are granular milestones of learning. Usually they progress in a sequence leading to the attainment of a particular competency. Learning outcomes enable teachers to plan their content. Based on the planning of content, you will obviously plan your pedagogy and your assessment towards achieving specific competencies. The curriculum developers and teachers should have the autonomy to define learning outcomes as appropriate to their classroom context while maintaining connection to competencies. So we will be looking at a few of these today. This example I found in the NCF. So you can see competency converses fluently and can hold meaningful conversation. This is for the foundational stage. The age group is 3 years to 8 years. And you can see the progression of the competencies: listens and speaks attentively, short conversations with familiar people, initiates conversation in daily life with peers. You can see the progression. Engages in conversations based on events, stories, or their needs, and asks questions. And the progression is further: engages in conversations, waits for their turn to speak, allows others to speak, and finally maintains the thread of the conversation across multiple exchanges. And you can see the other example as well in the table. Now, this is also an example I have picked up directly from the NCF. So what are we talking about today? Basically, we are talking about defining intended learning outcomes, choosing instructional practices in the classroom, measuring learning outcomes, reflecting upon the entire process of learning outcomes to practices or pedagogies to assessment, reflecting upon what went right, what worked well, what could have worked better, modifying the same, and redefining learning outcomes. So our cycle will start again. So look at this. It's all here. The first thing is in the stage is to check for new learning. Once we check for new learning, we teach. Once we teach, we have a challenging task, which is we have to challenge the gifted. And to challenge the gifted, to challenge the above average students of the classroom, we need to give them certain other tasks. So that would automatically take us to differentiated learning pedagogies. Step 4 is a feedback for improvement. You give a feedback, you take a feedback from the students in multiple ways. You repeat the process, reflect, check again for existing prior knowledge, and the cycle continues. It is the same thing that we see here, which is now explicitly put here as a teaching learning process of the learning cycle. So learning outcomes are statements that specify what learners who will know or will be able to do as a result of learning activity. What the learners will know or will be able to do, and how. Who, what, and how. These are the 3 W questions that are answered in a learning outcome typically. They are usually expressed through competencies, which are knowledge, skill, and attitudes. So before I come to this, let me keep the chat open and ask you this question. I will take the chat to the side because I want to ask you this question. What is the difference then between a learning objective and a learning outcome? When you are writing in the chat, you may choose to write in short form, L for learning objective, LO for learning outcome. What is the difference between learning objective and learning outcome? So I can see objective, what we wish, outcome, reality of what we achieve. All right, that's come from Avrotin Academics.
Miss Usha also has raised her hand, if you may kindly want to take it.
Yes, ma'am. There is somebody here who's in the chat who's mentioned a beautiful thing. And the chat is also moving very, very quick, which we can all see. Ajita says, objective is set before, outcome is what we achieve. And then we have people writing learning objective, what we planned, learning outcome, what we have got. Objective is what we want to teach or what to teach. Outcome is what is learned. LO means what we want to achieve. Outcomes means what students have understood. Okay. Learning objective, what you want the child to learn. Outcome, what the child has learned. What the teacher wants and what the students learn. All right. Outcome is measurable. Vijaya Lakshmi, beautiful. And I can see Vandana Tiwari also writing objective is what we want to teach. Okay. Outcome is measurable. What we want to see in the outcome. The chat is moving beautifully. Ability, outcomes are ability shown by students. And students receive and have got. Outcome is what we achieve, whereas the aim is teaching is objective. Okay, objective is what we want to make the child understand. Outcome is the means of what students understand from our teaching. Okay, there is somebody here, Reshmi, who is saying both are the same. Okay, that's a different perspective I'm coming across. All right. Outcome, I believe, is the dream. Outcome is the long-term effect of a process. Okay. I can see varied answers here, but there is Shailaja Raghunath here who says objective is teacher-centered, outcome is student-centered. Beautiful, ma'am. And as we move lower down the chat, outcomes tell us what students are understanding. Okay, what the students have achieved. Okay, there is somebody who has also mentioned it's Siana Arsal, if I mistake not. What we teach and what we get, the input and the output. That's a nice answer. There is another one here, Anil Gurab, who is saying planning and achievement. There is another person here, I think Cody Alam is the name, who is saying that it is learning outcome is achievable, observable. Somebody else is saying objective is planning and outcome is a measure. Beautifully put. I think most of us have the same view in mind when we are writing it in different words very, very explicitly. I did see a few hands raised as well. So in case if some of those hands are still raised, I request you to please unmute them and let them speak. Do we have any more hands raised?
No, ma'am. I think they have used the chat box and have already communicated.
All right, not an issue.
Yes.
So let me proceed then. Like you can see on your screen, objectives are statements that define the expected goal of a lesson, whereas outcomes will be the result of participating in an educational activity, what the student will achieve by doing something. Objectives describe the goals and intentions of the teacher. It is teacher-centric, like we saw. And learning outcomes are statements that describe list measurable, essential, mastered content knowledge, reflecting skills, competencies. Upon the end of this course, what will the student be able to demonstrate? Objectives state the purpose and goals of the course, but outcomes express higher level thinking. Objectives focus on content and skill, but outcomes are exactly what assessments are intended to show, what the student will be able to do. Objectives are often numerous, specific, and detailed. Assessing and reporting on each objective for each student may be impossible, but an accessible outcome can be displayed or observed and evaluated against criteria. Objectives will lead to instruction and outcomes, but outcomes are clear, measurable criteria for guiding teaching learning process and assessment process in the course. So when you look at the examples on both sides, for the objective, students will understand fundamental principles, generalizations, theories, etc. But in the outcomes, students will be able to demonstrate knowledge about fundamental principles, generalizations or theories, concepts, and solid state physics. So there is a question for you. I taught Stripe how to whistle, but I don't hear him whistle. I said, I taught him. I did not say he learned it. Who came first, the chicken or the egg? Similar. Is this an objective? Is this an outcome? So I'll reopen the chat. Let me see what comes there. All right. And a horde of people are now writing it is an objective. Absolutely bang on correct. Beautiful. This is 100% teacher-centered. Beautiful. All right. Now, convert this into an outcome. In the chat, convert this into an outcome. Same situation, convert it into an outcome. Okay, I can see people trying, but I'm not getting the correct one. Oh, yeah, there is one. There is one. There is one. I just found it, which said Stripe will be able to whistle. Rebecca ma'am. She says Stripe will be able to whistle. And there is another one which is more or less accurate, which is from Sunil Sebastian, which says he will be able to demonstrate the skill of whistling. This is more or less accurate. But when we talk about learning outcomes, we have to still be a bit more specific. So probably we would have stated it as, at the end of today's class, Stripe will demonstrate how to whistle. This automatically covers the skill of whistling. Yes, I am closing the chat now. Thank you for that wonderful response. At the end of today's lesson, Stripe will be able to demonstrate how to whistle. This means the teacher is going to teach the concept of how to whistle. The pedagogy the teacher will be using would probably be a demonstration method where the teacher will probably roll the lips and move the tongue and blow air out, which I read in the chat. And at the end of the lesson, Stripe will demonstrate how to whistle. Now, this would be a lower order learning outcome. Had the teacher wanted a little higher order learning outcome, then at the end of today's lesson, Stripe will apply this whistling tune to newer situations. So from recall and understand, we have moved up to application. If the teacher wanted a very higher order thinking, from the lower order to the middle order to the highest order, at the end of 2 days of learning to whistle, Stripe will be able to compose a new tune to whistle. So we have moved through the entire Bloom's taxonomy from recall, understand, apply, and analyze, right up to create, where he is now going to create his own tune to whistle. That is the way we would be seeing learning outcomes at this point in time. If you have any questions for me, I would request you to note them down. I will not be able to switch tabs to answer your questions right now, but I ensure you I will try to take on all the possible maximum number of questions after my presentation. Now, when I talk about learning outcomes, I already told you learning outcomes have to be SMART. They have to be specific, measurable, attainable or action-oriented, relevant or result-oriented, and time-bound. So let us quickly see how we will try and write SMART goals or SMART learning outcomes. This year, every student will score better in mathematics. Is this a SMART goal? It's obviously not, because it is not specific. It is not measurable. Will score better, is it achievable? We don't know whether a student who's already got 100 can do better. So let us look. During the year 2021 or 24-25, all students of grade 10 will improve their score in the CBSE exam at least by 10%. And how? By enhancing conceptual understanding and problem-solving skills in mathematics. You see, we have just rephrased the same goal to make it SMART. And we have tried to give it a specific timing, year, the time period. Who will? Students of grade 10. How will they? By working on certain competencies. And the measuring level, CBSE grade 10 exam. So let's try again. This time I will keep the chat open for you. So you can all try smart. Is this a SMART goal? ABC International School decides to improve writing skills in all students. Is this SMART? So obviously it's not SMART. That is why it is here. Make it SMART. You make it SMART. Rephrase it to make it SMART. It is not SMART. You have to rephrase ABC International School to make it specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Nobody is trying to make it SMART. How will you make this sentence?
If anybody wants to speak, they can raise their hands, ma'am. We will allow them to unmute.
Yes, I can see something in the chat. Karthik, ABC International School. There's Karthik whose chat has just gone up. I was reading it in. Okay. ABC International School planned for make writing skills for all the students in this academic year. Okay, nearing smartness. Let me scroll up again. Or Suhasini ma'am, if you could read some in the chat. Rebecca.
Miss Sohini, can you help reading?
Yeah, Sohini ma'am, can you read Miss Rebecca's? The chat scrolls faster than what I can read.
Of course. I'll try.
Yeah.
Ms. Rebecca has written, in the academic year 2024-25, ABC International School will work towards improving writing skills of students of class 1A.
Beautiful, beautiful, Rebecca ma'am. You're trying to make it smart. Now, Monica Khera also has another thing there. Monica Khera is writing, ABC School is organizing calligraphy competition. And Smita, within 6 months, ABC International will apply skills and handwriting expertise to improve the writing of students. So we can see the outcomes now becoming smart.
Ma'am, Mr. Sunil Sebastian has also written that ABC International School will try to improve writing skills of students by conducting various writing competitions.
Yes, and there's someone below him also who had written something.
Yes.
What was that? Just scrolls. By the time I hold it, it's gone.
Exactly. The participants are very prompt in giving their response.
Someone from PEEP. Punamal, Punamal. ABC
Yes.
School aims to improve writing skills in all students within the year, but the how is missing. The how is missing here. And then we have Anil. The school decides to inculcate writing skills in the minds of students to face 21st century challenges. And then there's somebody beyond that. The end of this year, students would have better writing skills in writing a summary of a prose. All right. So I can see a lot of chat coming in, and I appreciate that. I appreciate a lot of you working at an exact SMART goal. I agree that you are absolutely, I am very heartened to see you all working towards achieving a SMART goal there. And let us see how we can make this sentence smart. ABC International School decides to improve writing skills of students. Somebody had mentioned class 1A, so class 6 to 8 in the subject of English before the commencement of the midterm exam with specific focus on creative writing. Many of you did mention about writing skills or writing competitions. So we are all heading towards forming smart goals and smart learning outcomes. A very big congratulations to all of you who've been able to frame correct smart goals. So learning outcomes, as we can see, must have a STEM sentence. So by the end of this lesson, students will be able to, should have an action verb. You can use any of the action verbs from the revised Bloom's taxonomy. And we can see here, describe. There should be some relationship in learning, relationship between the form and function of the human art. So by the end of this lesson, students will be able to describe relationship between form and functions of the human heart in a particular context in an oral presentation. So you are able to see a goal, you're able to see that it's smart, you are able to see the competencies attached with Bloom's in this particular statement. That is the simplest process of writing a learning outcome. And let me tell you that learning outcomes are normally given to the students at the beginning of the class. This helps them to stay focused. The benefits of learning outcomes for teachers, they're very effective in course design, effective assessment of learning, because you are not assessing what you have taught, you are assessing the learning outcomes. There is better time management if you're focused and the class is focused, there's less disruption. Improved communication between the teacher and students, improved teaching experience. So when you come back of that class, you're not going to feel lost and tired and dizzy, but you're going to feel refreshed, energized, and motivated to step into the next class. Now look at the way we normally frame a learning outcome. By the end of this lesson, so by when? Who is the subject? The learners. The observable action will be able to cook. Degree of precision, maybe an aloo paratha or whatever you want them to cook. In which condition or under which condition on the stove. How, what are the resources, using a non-stick pan, in how much time constraint, within 4 to 6 minutes. You can see a different way, a different perspective to saying a learning outcome is the SMART goal. And I actually wanted to ask you whether it's an objective and an outcome and how to rephrase it. But since you were very brilliant, I asked you that there and then. Now, look at this. Examples of learning outcomes. And you can see how brilliantly they are put up in this one short slide. When you start with knowledge sharing in the center, and you will move to cognitive skill development, intellectual skills, motor skill development, and individual's personal growth. You can very easily see how learning outcomes are created. If you remember, somebody has taught us the use of the hand, the head, and the heart. It was Mahatma Gandhi in the Nai Talim or the Bunyadi Talim, John Dewey, father of experiential learning, and Benjamin Bloom in the Bloom's taxonomy of the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domain. Cognitive is the head, affective is the heart, the emotion, and psychomotor is the skill, the hand, the head, and the heart. Importance of learning outcome. Obviously, provides clarity and focus, helps to assess learning, facilitates curriculum development, enhances student learning, and helps to measure progress. Benefits of learning outcomes. Outcome-driven method that focuses on achieving the end result. It is very well planned and documented action for ease of operation. Aim broken down into goals, ensuring corrective measures. Maximizes relevant knowledge, values, and skill set. Ensures futuristic skills and job readiness of the learners. Emphasizes innovation, enables students to be lifelong learners. Enhances analyzing power and logical thinking of the learners. Encourages learners to contribute towards making a better society. Components of learning outcome. A performance, a condition, and a criterion. All have to be measurable. Who came first, the chicken or the egg? And objective or outcome? The question is, never stop learning. Why do we need the objective if we already have the outcome? The objective helps us to select content, develop an instructional strategy or the pedagogy, develop and select instructional material, construction of tests and items, and other instruments for assessing and then evaluating student learning outcomes. Why did we need to shift from objective to outcome? The focus has shifted the process of learning. Development of affective and psychomotor domains also, and not just of cognitive domain. So there was a time when we focused only on the head, but now we focus on the hand and the heart as well. So in the Bloom's taxonomy of all the three domains, cognitive, affective, and psychomotor, you can see here, I have shown you this quick simple chart which starts at the bottom from the lower order and goes up to the higher order. Cognitive domain is your mental activity. Your affective domain is character, conscience, or your heart, emotion, which has 5 sub-points. And psychomotor, once again, has 6, from perception to originating. And you can see all of them go from lower order to higher order. So what is at number 3, application in the cognitive, is valuing at affective and is adapting at psychomotor. You move from lower order to higher order. Coming to competencies, these are the 21st century competencies that we talk about throughout our NCF and throughout our curriculum of 24-25. Critical thinking, problem solving, managing information, creativity and innovation, communication, collaboration, culture and global citizenship, personal growth and well-being. These are basic competencies that we talk about throughout our current curriculum. And our learning outcomes and pedagogies revolve around these competencies. We have to develop these competencies in the learner. Now, from the booklet released by NCERT on learning outcomes for, I think this is for the grade 9 and 10, I have taken this sample of suggested pedagogical processes and learning outcomes for English class 9. You can see that the learner listens to announcements, instructions, read aloud text, audio, and videos for information, gist and details, responds by answering questions accordingly. And suggested pedagogical practices or processes would include comprehend audio, video scripts, read aloud text, answer comprehension and inferential questions by listening. So the NCERT has given us these learning outcome booklets for elementary stage, secondary stage, and a draft learning outcomes booklet for the higher secondary stage. It is advisable for all educators across subjects, across stages of learning to download these and keep a copy for yourselves because it's very, very useful. Just as I showed you English grade 9, I'm showing you science class 10, the pedagogical processes on the left and learning outcomes to the right. Now you see the verbs that have to be used. I told you we have to be using the action verbs. Differentiate materials, classifies materials, plans and conducts investigations and experiments to arrive at and verify facts. See the use of these action verbs in the right place in a learning outcome. And look at the matching suggested pedagogical process. Now they have given an exhaustive list of pedagogical processes, but they still leave it in the hands of the teacher for each classroom on what to choose. Recognize the difference between reaction, observe to understand, investigate. Look at the different pedagogies that are also coming up simultaneously when you read through these. Social science class 10, to the left you have the pedagogical practices, to the right you have the learning outcomes. Assess the impact, analyze indigenous of modern methods of conservation of water, forest, wildlife, soil, etc. Explain victories and defeats, evaluates various suggestions, analyzes texts and visuals, which is now the most common learning outcome in social sciences. And when you look at the pedagogical processes that are suggested, it is collecting and discussing details of people's participation in environment conservation, collecting data from Economic Survey of India, newspapers, magazines. So when you have these outcomes, you basically talk about data sampling. You collect this data, discuss it in the classroom scenario, familiarize students with pictures, graphs, inferences, help them to draw their own conclusions through these various pedagogical strategies. Coming to mathematics class 9, you can see pedagogical processes and learning outcomes. Here the learner applies, identifies, classifies, relates. And the pedagogical practices suggested are observe and discuss real numbers, recall and observe the processes, observe the properties of different types of numbers. And the list is exhaustive. You can go through the booklets by themselves. And now, in this particular learning outcomes book that I opened for secondary stage, besides the academic subjects that I showed you, there's something on Urdu and there's something in Sanskrit as well. So if you are happening to be teaching those subjects, you can refer to that. Then there are learning outcomes for health and physical education in the same booklet. So you can refer to those if you belong to the HP category of teachers. And very interestingly, they have also given learning outcomes and pedagogical processes for art education. They've given for all kinds of arts, visual and performing. And I have currently chosen one for performing arts class 9, where the learner is sensitive towards a variety of sounds individuals hear from the immediate surroundings, distinguishes varied types of sounds, musical and non-musical. So if you happen to teach Hindustani music, you would know the types of naad, ahat naad, anahat naad, kolahal. Reproduces the sound through vocal music or by playing musical instruments, identifies the voice of musicians, and identifies the sounds of musical instruments, classifies art forms under the category of visual and performing arts, appraises the interrelation of art forms, appreciates the contributions of different artists and artisans. So these are very useful things to have the learners learn. And to make them learn these things, you have different sounds being created in the classroom situation under the different pedagogical practices listed here. Students even take lessons in voice modulation for music. They listen to different kinds of voices, the sounds of musicians, sounds of musical instruments, foot movements while wearing the ghungru. If you've noticed dancers, they will have the entire ghungru tied to their feet, but only one bell will ring. That is a strong control of foot movement. You have manual tanpura and electronic tanpura. So it's a stringed instrument with 4 strings, but you see the beauty when it's a manual tanpura, and you see the difference when you have an electronic tanpura. Similarly, you have electronic keyboard. Then the different instruments like tabla, dholak, bansuri, manjira, sarod, each instrument has its own value. And let me remind all of you brilliant educators, this year 2024-25, the CBSE team is art education. So work on art education, integration of art education at all stages of education, and I'm sure you will be able to do a brilliant job in your classrooms. So when we talk about pedagogies, again, I came back to the NCF for school education here, where there is seen a shift from competencies to learning outcomes. So learning outcomes need to be seen as enabling teachers or enabling guidelines for teachers and the school leaders, and not as constraining demands on them. They have the autonomy to reimagine the learning outcomes based on their own context. It depends on the learner in your class. The board is only giving you a suggestive list. And key elements that enable effective pedagogy in the classroom, this I have picked up directly from NCF School Education. Ensuring respect and care, where the children feel secure. There is no discrimination based on gender, religion, caste, community, belief, disability. Teachers value and respect all students. There is a school environment that enhances the potential and interest of every child. The atmosphere is caring. Building positive teacher-student relationship, getting to know each student individually. Listening carefully to the student, which conveys respect, care. It builds in trust and relationship between student and teacher. Observing students to help to discover how each student thinks, reasons, responds to different situations, which is critical to plan for teaching and learning. Encourage student responses, which is meaningfully built on children's naturally creative, resourceful selves. Encourage questioning. Questions to and from the teacher help students think through a particular subject in depth. Recognizing and responding to the emotions and mood of students. This is very important to help them to settle and learn better, learn to regulate their own emotions, and to understand and respond to the emotions of others. Then you have providing scaffolding. Students can easily learn new knowledge when systematic support from other experienced students.
Miss Kyadi, some sound.
No, there is somebody at the door. That is why I had to switch off my video for that. Okay. Yeah. So learning new knowledge should be a challenge, but the challenge should be within the reach of students. Something that relates to their existing knowledge and can be done with the support of an experienced person. Scaffolding also refers to providing support, structure, and guidance during instruction. Now, scaffolding is something we normally...
Madam, excuse me, can we do something for that voiceover, because your voice and that voice do clash?
Sorry?
Not intelligible.
So there is no more noise here now. It was just one fraction.
Okay, let me check my system. Okay, ma'am, go ahead. It was in my system. Sorry for the interruption.
It's okay. So when we look at scaffolding, We've done this at inquiry-based learning. Now, scaffolding is basically used in inquiry-based learning. And scaffolding has multiple kind of questioning techniques. So I will touch upon it at after these few pointers from the NCF. Then providing opportunities for independent and collaborative work. So we already know that NCF and NEP together have put in pedagogical strategies which involve collaborative work. And teachers may ensure that children work in pairs or small groups and do more of group work, teamwork, rather than individual work. This helps the students to listen, understand, and appreciate, as well as reflect on their own thought processes and others' experiences with empathy and critical understanding. Using varied resources like the textbook, but the textbook is only one resource. In addition, we have other resource materials which we use to engage students beyond the textbook. So these could be reference books in the library. These could be encyclopedias. These could be journals, newspapers, digital resources. The classroom displays, which constitute an important part of the learning process, should not be limited to finished products alone. Students' work in progress can also be a part of the display. This is something that I found very interesting in the NCF. It is to change the mindset of the teachers. Normally, we display only the best work of the students. We generally refrain ourselves from displaying work in progress. But now the NCF permits us to do or to display work in progress. Helping students develop appropriate work habits and responsibility. So developing appropriate work habits, taking responsibility, these are critical to the learning process. Organizing space materials before and after use, organizing time, ensuring time on task, taking responsibility for tasks, persisting with and completing work, staying on a given task even without a teacher present, allowing others to work without disturbance. These are those tasks which make students responsible for their own learning. Giving prompt and meaningful feedback. Now, normally as teachers, we on any answer sheet, we would write good or bad or needs improvement. But that is not a meaningful feedback. Students need to know what defines good. And here we need to keep in mind that students are not competing with another student. No two students are competing with each other. The student is working on himself or herself to better his prior score. So the feedback we give as educators has to be clearly writing what the student can do to better his performance. What is the student currently doing correct? What is right? And what needs to be worked upon to better this performance? That is the kind of feedback we need to give the students. Coming to the overall principles of pedagogy, which once again I have picked up from the NCF directly. Every child is capable of learning. Children are natural learners. So it's not that we have somebody who's dumb in the class. We need to teach the children the way they learn. Learning is an active process that involves both understanding and doing. Children learn best when they are respected, valued, and involved in the learning process. Children learn in a variety of ways, and we need to teach them in those variety of ways using group discussion or using multiple intelligences. So group discussion, speaking skills, listening skills, reading, writing, questioning, exploring, discovering, and a whole lot of techniques. Even music and dance. Learning happens best when classroom processes make connections with the life of students and their prior experiences, focus on conceptual clarity, and provide variety of challenges to the students. Then we have practice is a critical and integral part of learning process. So it's not just do and do, it is also practice what they do. And the following principles are non-negotiable principles. Punishment and fear are detrimental to learning, so there should be a concept of no punishment, no fear. There should be respect for the teacher and the student, and they both should be easily accessible and available. Inequity in the classroom on the basis of gender, religion, caste, creed, community, etc. is a no. Rote memory must not be the prime form of learning. Now we have to build on competencies. In fact, the CBSE tests 50% competencies in the board examinations in grade 10 and 12 from this year. Students must not be treated as passive receivers of information. The class will become monotonous and boring. There has to be active learning. There has to be learning based on the theory of knowledge, which is Vedic. The CBSE has come up with this new thing where they talk about the pramanas and from where the knowledge has been gained. So it's a very interesting topic to take on. So our knowledge also in the classroom has to focus on that. A variety of pedagogies that now we will be talking about have to be covered. And don't forget that the student voice must be heard in the classroom. That is prime important. Coming to the pedagogies, the most common pedagogy that we talk about is the think, pair, share, where the teacher gives a question with maybe a 10, 20, 30-second time where the student and the partner pair, they think about the answer or about the concept or about the question that is asked. They come to a conclusion and share it with the larger group. That's think, pair, share. If you think that's a little more time consuming, you have the other option of making them do it as think, pair, share, square, or in a group of 4. And the other pedagogies that I wish to touch upon today, active collaborative learning, case-based learning, field-based learning, IBL, lab-based, PBL, experiential, and community-based learning. Active collaborative classroom environment as a pedagogy is dynamic, engaging. It is hands-on. It works with trial and error. It may lead to failure. It may get repetitive. It may be challenging because it is interactive. It may lead to chaos. But it works well if you let it work. Case-based learning, you start with the establishment of learning outcomes. Assign every student a role about what they have to do. Motivate them. Create a strategy document. Develop educational activities. And let the students only present the solution to the problem because they have a case which they are going to work upon. This will also train them to answer case study questions. So case-based learning deals with active learning, contextual learning, higher order thinking, and collaborative skills. Coming to inquiry-based learning, it is just the art of asking the correct questions. I ask the questions and I notice what's happening in the students. Investigate, plan, read, research. It could be on the internet, it could be in the books. Ask the students to bring it back, create, try, experiment. Come to some discussion, share the report, come to a conclusion, discuss it with the larger group, discuss it with the teacher, reflect what went right, what could have worked better, evaluate, rethink, and ask the question again. So ideas for inquiry-based learning: what will I learn? What will I create? What do I love? What are my interests? What will I solve? How can I make an impact? Now, these are just basic ideas. These are projects which are going to check on your understanding, skills, passions, ambitions, improved ideas, hobbies, talents, curiosities, solutions, positive impact. But these are just a suggestive list. There is much more that a creative teacher can do. Lab-based learning as a pedagogy is a first-hand experience. It helps in developing skills for advanced study. Then we come to Kolb's cycle of experiential learning. Normally, it starts with a concrete experience, with a reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, followed by active experimentation, and you come back to concrete experience. Apparently, in Kolb's cycle of experiential learning, it has a miraculous beauty. The student can enter the cycle at any of the four places or pointers of the cycle and complete the cycle. Whether the child gets into abstract conceptualization or enters from active experimentation, the child will complete the entire cycle. And it is a process of experiential learning, hands-on learning. So experiential learning has its own benefits. It builds competencies, merging theory with practice. Learning by experiencing is far more effective and long-lasting. Builds the ground for self-motivation, exploration, offers opportunities to students to think freely and operate differently without losing confidence. And finally, we come to the last pedagogical approach that we are trying to discuss today, which is community-based learning. Now, this is something which is very interesting. These are majorly CSR initiatives that people take on. So you're applying your academic knowledge and critical thinking skills, taking it to the community in partnership with the school and community. And you have to obviously reflect and assess the deeper understanding of the course content with civic engagement and skills. So finally, the last segment of today's program, which is evaluation. And we are evaluation is basically guiding questions to determine which elements of learning to assess. And we're going to look at only 2 or 3 main questions that a teacher should ask oneself before evaluating the learners. What kind of content knowledge am I expecting students to demonstrate, and at what level? What aspects of thinking do I want students to develop in my course and demonstrate through the course assessment? And are there any professional skills and competencies that I expect students to develop in my course? Simply put, what do I want the students to know? What do I want my students to be able to do? You answer these 2 questions. Keeping this in mind, you can design your test and assignment, which is a valid measurement only if it will elicit from your students the kind of learning you want to measure. I have used this multiple times before. When we are talking about the W questions, do not assume that only non-inquiry questions begin with what, who, and when. What defines success? Who is a true leader, and when is work fun? These are open-ended inquiry-based questions. And never again assume that inquiry-based questions begin with why, which, and how. Why did World War I start is a recall question. Which letters are vowels is a knowledge-based pure question. How did Mary return to her country? simple lower order thinking questions which are not at all higher order. So be very wise in using the W question. With this, I express my humble gratitude to Extra Mile Education and Training, its founder, Dr. Salam, and co-founder, Biju Pillai sir, and today's moderator, ma'am. Thank you so much. And to all the participants who've been extremely interactive and participative in today's training. With this, I make a humble submission to all of you educated learners. Thank you very much. I am open to comment and questioning, and of course, the most valuable feedback that all of you brilliant educators together will give me.
That was one brilliant session, ma'am. We thoroughly feel completely enriched. I think now we can open the session to questions. Dr. Salam has kindly posted the certificate link. Now this is going to be a permanent link for all our sessions, so kindly save it, and you can also fill it out, give us your valuable feedback, and apply for the certificate. Your questions, please.
If they want to ask questions, they can raise their hands. We'll unmute them.
Absolutely. You may raise your virtual hand, or you may post your question in the chat box, which I will read out. Anyone? Looks like our participants have answered and asked questions during the session, and we don't have any other questions. Ms. Pallavi is requesting us to post the link again. It has been done, ma'am. Shall I move ahead with the vote of thanks, Dr. Salam?
Yes, I think the session was self-explanatory.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so once again, I extend my heartfelt thanks to the organizers, Dr. Salam, Mr. Biju, and Extra Mile for organizing today's insightful webinar. Your dedication and meticulous planning have made the event possible, providing an enriching learning experience for all the participants. I would like to express sincere appreciation to Ms. Kathy for her invaluable contributions as a resource person. Her expertise and insights have illuminated the discussion, offering profound perspectives that will undoubtedly benefit us all in our educational endeavors starting tomorrow. A special mention goes to the active and passionate participating educators. Your active engagement has been the true strength of this session. Thank you once again to the organizers and Ms. Kathy for your unwavering commitment to fostering knowledge exchange and professional development. Your efforts have truly made a difference. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Salam.
First of all, a big round of applause to Kathy ma'am. So thank you so much for the wonderful efforts, and you have researched, and you have presented the topic in such a way that we are having hands-on learning through interaction in the chat box and all, and through questions and all. They were learning themselves, and also they were suggesting, they were also, putting in their insights about the topic. So that was a wonderful learning. Thank you so much, Kathy ma'am. We will continue this. Maybe next month we'll have another session on social science as we have agreed. And thank you, Sokini ma'am, for your great help. Thank you so much. And all the educators, thank you for your keenness in learning more and more. I could notice many participants who are constantly, waiting for the sessions, like Indu ma'am and Seema, Smita. So many are there. Indu Chaturvedi, madam was there from the beginning till the end for the last Vinosa session also, with her camera fully on. So that is the, motivation for us. Actually, there is a motivation when participants are very keen on listening and learning and implementing what they learn in the classroom. There lies our success. So our little efforts to, bring changes in the education sector, in the classrooms, I think through these extra mile sessions, they are bearing fruit. Thank you so much, educators, for your efforts. You are greatly, contributing to your student community, to the school you are working, and ultimately to the nation. Keep learning and learn more with extra mile education and training. Thank you so much. Keep connected. We will meet again this Saturday. I myself am coming with one topic, that is National Credit Framework. Its implementation in CBSE schools in this academic year only as a pilot project. So we'll meet all of you again this Saturday. Until then, signing off. Thank you once again, Kadi ma'am and Sophini. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you so much. Good night.